Quick reminder that the description has a link to a resource website that you can use to help contribute to ongoing Black Lives Matter organizations. You can do a myriad of things like donate to bail funds or sign petitions, all of which go a long way to fighting systemic racism. Thank you very much for your time. Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. You know, I honestly thought this would take a bit longer. I hear YouTube doesn't do any favors for people who take breaks in their upload schedules, but I guess this goes to show that not everything is determined by some nebulous code or algorithm. Thank you all for continuing to support me, especially when I need a breather. And to celebrate, it's time for another subscriber special. And this list is going to be a bit of a doozy. Whereas the 700 attack list was the smallest pool I've had to work with, the 800 attack pool is one of the largest, sporting 275 monsters, and it's not just a bunch of filler either. There are so many good monsters that I've had to leave out that I've been second guessing it constantly. Heck, the script was finished and I still had changes I wanted to make. So, to keep me from flip-flop frogging any further, I present to you GoldenNova's top 10 monsters with 800 attack points. But first, some housekeeping. To keep this video compliant with the rules and regulations laid out by the Online Opinions Protection Services, OOPS requires me to preface any top 10 video with the disclaimer that the content, and the sequencing thereof, is based solely on my own opinion. While power level and historical context do play a part in said opinion, they'll be graded alongside other ephemeral qualities, like silliness, coolness, and their ability to overcome the anxiety of asking a store clerk for assistance. It's a, quality I greatly respect. Oh, and before we get into the list proper, normally I put my reminder here to subscribe because I know I'm bad at doing that for people I like and I can't be the only one, but today is a special announcement. I was planning to set this up once we reached the 1000 milestone, but I've been getting quite a few more requests for it than I expected, so as of the premiere of this video, we're launching the GoldenNova Discord server. Link is in the description, feel free to join and revel in jolly camaraderie. Thank you for your patience. Now, back to the video. Honorable mention, Shiba Warrior Taro. Good dog, 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 good dog. Number 10, Summoner Monk. This helpful hermit has had quite a storied history over the past decade. Released in the midst of the Synchro era, wherever one can find level 4 monsters with good effects, so too can be found Summoner Monk. Want to make a level 8 Synchro? Summon a level 4 tuner. Want a rank 4? Summon any level 4. Playing heroes? Summon Stratos or Shadow Mist. Is it a dark deck with graveyard effects or piloting? Armageddon Knight is the perfect choice. While the level requirement on the summons does keep it from being splashed into most decks that have a range of levels, if their 4s are important enough, they'll find room for this Mystic. And with their incredible mix of high base attack bonuses, unswerving saving throws, and a sturdy hit die, monks make a great addition to any party. Wait a sec. This is a tabletop RPG section about monks. Where's the top 800 script? Number 9, Destiny Hero Malicious. There was no doubt in my mind that Malicious was going to make this list. It does one thing, and one thing really well. Summon more material. Whether you're a hero deck that can run this in-engine, or a theme that has an easy time throwing monsters into the grave, Malicious is always a serious contender for inclusion. But oddly enough, despite its near universal application, its power is one of the easiest to be regulated by the ban list. Putting Malicious at 3 is like giving the player base free reign to cheaply make a number of extra deck threats, and they can always just move it back to 2 so that only heroes can take advantage of it, as they have now. It's not only an iconic monster in terms of competitive usage, I still have scars from the Teledad days, but an interesting example of how the ban list can be effective at modulating a card's effectiveness, rather than just shutting down its usefulness entirely, as well as bolstering the usage of the much maligned semi-limited section of the list. I also respect that they trimmed down their body fuzz to sculpt that D onto their chest. They may get a bad reputation for being called malicious, but they're clearly a team player. Number 8, Adia the Heavenly Squire, and Eidos the Underworld Squire. Luckily for me, both of these regal retainers have 800 attack, and since their powers are so closely entwined with one another, I couldn't help but slot them together in the same spot. Monarchs are one of the few themes that's actually seen success in 2 disparate ages of Yu-Gi-Oh! Without really having to give up their identity. They were some of the first cards that gave you real, effective rewards for committing to a tribute summon, culminating in the sinister Caius the Shadow Monarch. We'd see a similar trend of Monarch support being released over several core sets after that, before the Emperor of Darkness structure deck hit the scene, ushering in the age of the Domain Lock. While these various heads of state still demand tribute, this process was made much easier with the introduction of Edea and Eidos. Simply summon Edea and use their effect to summon Eidos, granting you an additional tribute summon. And hey, it just so happens that you now have 2 materials to use for it. Ain't that grand? Combine this with Edea's ability to recycle pantheisms, and Eidos' effect to repeat the cycle again the following turn, and you have enablers that do the heavy lifting, while your monarchs are free to mangle your opponent. Talk about getting the royal treatment. Number 7. Altergeist Silquitus. I hate this card. Like, with a burning, fiery passion. When a multi-faker hits the board, and I see them pair it with what happens when you mix a bird with a modern art installation, I go immediately into panic mode. But it's because of how much this card viscerally scares me that I have to put it on the list. It's that good. Combined with a deck that's already full of interruptions, this compulsory evacuation device on chicken legs really puts it over the top. Not only is it the best way to rid yourself of opposing extra deck monsters, you get to reset your multi-fakers, conqueries, and marionetters to use their effects again later. It's a huge contributor to the deck's inevitability. You resolve enough silk effects and you just win. Also, the thread count is outstanding. That's some smooth silk. Number 6. Subterror Fiends. We're going from one control deck to another, though you'd never know it from looking at the archetype as a whole. Billed initially as a big beats deck with flip effect flavor, its modern iteration has largely abandoned that playstyle, instead looking to stun opponents while gaining incremental amounts of advantage by way of Guru. They don't even have to give up Chonk mode because of Subterror Final Battle, and Fiendus is the glue that helps keep it all together. Having a hand trap that's an Omni-Negate is a pretty sweet upside for playing the deck, but they can also revive any fallen Gurus to get your supply chain of cards back up and running, adding a great level of resilience to your game plan. It's a wonderful way to fiend some wins. Number 5. Skarm, Malabranch of the Burning Abyss. Ooh, I've been waiting to feature a Malabranch on one of these lists for a while, and I can't think of a better introduction than Skarm. Burning Abyss is known for having a very strong resource game. And while Skarm doesn't play into the loop specifically, it is integral for making sure you have the cards you need to defend it or get it started in the first place. Gaining access to Graph and Seer is nice, but you can also search Tour Guide for those excellent one-card Dantes, Farfas to remove problem monsters, Alic for effect negation, or Calcab to remove hidden back row threats. But one of the most intriguing things about Skarm for me is its flexibility in terms of the search effect. Level 3 Dark Fiends is a deceptively large list of monsters, letting you search cards from archetypes like Dark World, Evil Eye, and Abyss Actor. And as long as your normal summon isn't a premium, these themes can just normal summon Skarm and link them into Almirage to get the delayed search, which I find to be really cool. Which stands in stark contrast to how very hot the Burning Abyss is. Seriously, can we get like a box fan down here or something? Number 4. The Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. And we can't talk about Burning Abyss without mentioning their future partners in darkness, Phantom Knights. I was a pretty entrenched BA player when Phantom Knights were being released, and when some of my friends pitched the idea of what is now known as PK Fire, I was dismissively skeptical. If you draw the Malabranches and Phantom Knights in the same hand, then you won't get to do anything. They'll never get off the ground. Yeah, that's been taking up space next to Sky Strikers will never be good in my weapons grade bad takes vault for a while now. However, once I adopted the combination, I've never looked back. While other cards in the PK lineup are better at setting up your Xyz and Link summons, Ancient Cloak is a heck of a payoff. Ending boards with an additional piece of interaction by way of Fogblade, or grabbing you a crazy rank-up magic is a great way to raise the ceiling on any of your combos, and the fact that you can gift any of your dark monsters Ancient Cloak's attack so that it may linger on the battlefield to help you in combat, even after being used as material, isn't just useful, it's very evocative of the ghostly theming this archetype is steeped in. And after hearing about all the new support Phantom Knights are getting in Phantom Rage, I'm dying to get my hands on them. Number 3. Traptrix Sarah. This list is just becoming the greatest hits of control monsters, huh? Anyway, Traptrix, and by extension Hat decks, were the Altergeist of years past. Grafting themselves onto the already established whole normal trap archetype, Traptrix would set up a strong back row, along with other myriad effects, topped off with a fairly competent rank 4 suite. Sarah has managed to breathe new life into the theme as of late, essentially giving the deck a resource loop that keeps them from running out of monsters and traps. You can't even hit them with one of the most popular hand traps ever, Infinite Impermanence, because like many of their ilk, Sarah is unaffected by trap effects. Despite having low attack, you'll usually have to wade through a minefield of traps to get to them, and as you keep spending resources to do so, you'll just be digging yourself deeper into the card disadvantage hole, something that Traptrix will be more than happy to take advantage of. Number 2, Neospace Connector. A couple of lists ago, we talked about how ridiculous Neo-spacian Aqua Dolphin was for being able to grant you perfect knowledge of your opponent's hand while also getting rid of hand traps, one way or another, and it wouldn't be as ridiculous as it was without the additional help of Neospace Connector. On top of the insane utility of Aqua Dolphin, Neospace Connector tacks on the ability to make a one-card Isolde, which is odd, right? Like, Aqua is in Aqua Dolphin's name. This combo shouldn't be possible. But possible it remains, enabling link spam lines with ease, and can even give you a second shot at using Aqua Dolphin's effect in the same turn if you manage to save the connector until after Dolphin's been used as material to revive it, because guess what? The Neo-spacian doesn't have a hard once per turn clause. The ambassador from Neospace's name isn't just for show, because its effect is fantastic at connecting you with your combos. Number 1. I value novelty very highly when it comes to my entertainment. I like seeing new things. Mechanics, ideas, aesthetics. I'm drawn to things that attempt to explore beyond the boundaries that have been set before them, and I feel like the number 1 pick on this list really embodies that. It's not very splashable, pun retroactively intended, but it's such a powerful, integral piece to the theme it belongs to, and introduces interesting choices for the opponent that has to face it down, because it works on levels that are rarely, if ever, prepared for by the player base. Presenting Neptabyss, the Atlantean Prince. Having effects that trigger after being sent to the grave specifically for cost is something that no other theme has ever done, and Neptabyss takes that concept to a whole new level, letting you search a card by foolishing any other monster of their theme. And having sat across the table from this aspiring Lord of the Sea, the kind of advantage you can get from this, as well as how effortlessly you can pivot into mermail plays, is scarier than the kinds of things you can find in the Marianas Trench. Seriously, have you seen the kinds of spooky things they hide down there? And traditional means of interruption don't work here either. Sure, you could try dropping an Effect Veiler, or an Ash, or an Imperm, or a Ghost Ogre, and you'd get to weaken it a bit, sure. But because it foolishes as cost, you're hardly ever going to be able to stop the full effect. The best way to stop the effect is by A, going first, and B, having the Called by the Grave to negate whatever was sent for cost. But even then, your opponent will know that further copies of that card will be useless that turn, and they'll just pivot into another game plan. It's absurd! And if that wasn't enough, sending Neptabyss to the grave for a Water Monster's effect gives you an Atlantean Reborn for your troubles. Like I said at the start of this section, Neptabyss isn't a very flexible card, but it's one of the best starters for a deck that can both hand loop and OTK, and being part of that kind of lineup comes with a lot of prestige. So for its part in supporting one of the most consistently powerful rogue options around, I'm proud to announce that Neptabyss, the Atlantean Prince, is the absolute best monster in Yu-Gi-Oh! With 800 attack points. And that's the list. Do you have any monsters you feel should have made the cut? Maybe one you felt should have been ranked higher or lower? And is there anything you're looking forward to seeing in the channel in the future? Let me know in the comments, and once again, a big thank you to everyone who stuck around with me so far. Every day there are people out there who see what I'm doing and want to help, and that does a good for me I don't know if I'll ever be able to properly express, so again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.